Good morning, good morning. No cats joining us, but we do have a husband on drums. Thanks, Christian, for joining us. I'm Mickey, as you know, and this is our gentle yoga class. So I have a blanket, a strap, some blocks, a chair, and a bolster, and I'll make my way down to the mat. You're welcome to start in any shape that would feel really cozy. I'm going to suggest today, if you'd like, maybe a child's pose. And I love this big round bolster for a supported child's pose. So I like to bring my toes to touch, knees open wide, bring the bolster in between the knees, and then you could allow your torso to come down and rest. Maybe bring one cheek down to the bolster. And then halfway through, you can always switch sides. One thing we were discussing before class is the idea of choice. And I think that that's a wonderful segue into our theme for today's class. So if child's pose is not the pose for you to start out today, think back into any classes you've taken and maybe you give yourself the option to start however would feel comfortable in your body. Today, the theme for class fits right into that. That one is called, it's the fourth niyama. And these are yoga's ethical practices. The yamas and the niyamas. And this is the book by Deborah Adele. So svadhyaya means self-study. What a good theme for thinking about what we like, what we don't like, and serving ourselves best. What would serve us best? In the book by Deborah Adele, she says, we are at the core divine consciousness. Around this pure consciousness, we are packed in boxes of our experience, our conditioning, and our belief systems. These boxes are things like how we identify ourselves, what we believe to be true, our preferences and dislikes, our fears and imagination. All of these things are informed by our country, culture, gender, town, ancestors and family history, groups we belong to, and our personal experiences. Svadhyaya, or self-study, is about knowing our true identity as divine. This process of knowing ourselves creates a pathway to freedom, the ability to shift our identification with our ego self to the witness, and finally our true identity as divinity itself is the joy of the jewel of self-study. So you might imagine a glowing jewel at your heart center. Feel the rays of light radiating through your chest, your torso, out into your limbs. And allow that intention, that jewel, to be anything you choose. perhaps svadhyaya, self-study. If you're feeling ready to sort of reawaken the body from whatever position you're in currently, if it's child's pose or if you're laying on your back, we'll all meet up either in hands and knees or in seated. We're going to do some movements with the spine. So if you feel like doing that from a seat, you could also do it from a chair as well. I like to put a blanket on the chair to make it nice and soft. But if you're coming into a seat for cat-cow, you could bring your hands onto your knees. Inhale to lift the heart forward. Exhale to round into the spine. And if it felt too intense on the knees to have them bent, you could also do this with your legs outstretched, maybe in a V. If you want to do this from hands and knees, you could also pad underneath the knees with a blanket. So sometimes this can help us be on hands and knees. You might plant your palms underneath your wrists, your knees underneath your hips, and then inhale to drop the belly, lifting the heart. Exhale, round into the spine. Draw the belly button in. And just allow yourself in whatever position you're in to find length in the spine. As you move your spine at the pace of your own breath, really allow yourself permission to do it in whatever way serves you. That's, again, practicing self-study, svadhyaya. You don't have to do it like anyone else. There isn't one superior way to do things, and each of our shapes are infinite, just allowing yourself to explore. After a few rounds of cat and cow, you might find some circles with the spine, either from your seat or possibly hands and knees. Allow yourself to get creative here. You might start to sway the hips a little bit side to side, maybe peeking your gaze behind your shoulder. Take one more nice deep breath in whatever direction you're moving. And then if you haven't switched directions, like if you were drawing a circle with the belly button or the hips, feel free to take a moment to switch the direction now. Take one more nice deep breath where you're at. And if you're in hands and knees, you might try, I'm going to do it from the side, extending one leg out to the side, and then maybe you take a few rounds of cat and cow here. If you were doing this from a seat, you could extend one leg long. Take one more nice deep breath on this side. And then when you're ready, you can bring that knee back underneath the hip and take a moment to switch sides. Extending the opposite leg out to the side. You might take a few rounds of cat and cow. yourself an opportunity to explore. Take one more nice deep breath wherever you're at. Okay, so from here, we're going to come back onto our backs. So let's go ahead and move the blanket off to the side if you had that down for your knees. You can take a moment to locate a strap or something you could use as a strap, and then a block. And then we'll come all the way onto the back. You can hug your knees in towards your chest, and maybe you even use the strap here. I like to wrap it around my shins just to give myself a little more space. And you can start to draw some circles with the knees. Just allow for a little bit of rotation around the sacrum, massaging the low back. And when you're ready, you can reverse the direction of your knee circles. Breathing into the low back. Take one more nice deep breath. And then we'll release the strap off to the side. For a moment, land the feet onto the mat, and then you can bring the hands next to the hips. From here, we'll float the arms up towards the ceiling. Take a nice deep breath as you lengthen through your arms. And then on your next exhale, we'll lower the hands back down towards the ground. You can press into the earth, and then any amount, press into your heels, lift your hip points up off the floor, coming up into bridge. On the next exhale, go ahead and lower your hips back down, and we'll inhale, sweep the arms up and overhead, stretch through the arms, the shoulders, the chest, the upper back, and exhale to lower it back down. Now you can find your version of bridge. Press into the heels, strengthen through the glutes and the legs to lift. Exhale, lower the spine back down, one vertebrae at a time. Go ahead and continue at your own pace, allowing yourself this chance to explore. Feel the internal massage of any sensations in the body. On this next round of bridge, you're welcome to hold the bridge. So you might use your strength to keep you upright. Maybe you shimmy the arms underneath the body, interlace the hand. We call this a bind. Or you could take a block and slide it underneath, or even that big bolster or a pillow, and slide it underneath the sacrum. And right here, you're coming into a supported bridge. It could even be nice to use your hands for that bind and just hug them around the block, the fingertips around the block. Now you could stay here, or maybe you make it a little more inverted by extending one leg up at a time, rotating the ankles. Or maybe you want to try both legs up, only if that feels okay, it's not too pinchy on the low back. Take a moment to admire your feet. What are some things you can notice about your feet? Allow that intention, svadhyaya, self-study, glowing jewel to radiate light all the way up to the feet. ready, you can release your feet back down to the ground. Press into your heels, lift your hips, and slide the block out from underneath you. And we'll roll the spine back down one vertebrae at a time. And you can reach for your strap. We're going to come into Supta Padangusthasana. So this is head to knee or head to foot. You're going to wrap the strap around the ball of the right foot. And you can extend the right leg long, holding on to either side of the strap, or you can also hug your hand around your leg if you didn't have a strap. Then you have the option to keep that left leg bent, the knee bent, or you could extend the leg long, pointing the toes a little bit actively up towards the sky. And just allow your jaw to soften, your shoulders to soften. Feel the breath moving through the body and allow it to find any of those places that might have tension or holding. If you'd like to stretch through the inner thigh, you could bring the strap into the right hand now. Open the right leg out to the right. So you're feeling a stretch through the whole inseam of the right leg. You could always find a way to prop up that leg. If it felt like it was opening too far, you could bring a bolster underneath the thigh or a block. Take one more nice deep breath. And when you're ready, you can float the leg back up towards the ceiling. We'll take the strap into the left hand now. Allow the right leg to cross the midline. Now you could turn this all the way into a twist if you like, or you could keep your whole back body flat on the mat and just allow the right leg to gently cross the midline. So you might feel that along the outside edge of your right leg. Remembering that each shape is infinite can help us not try to reach for some kind of finish line, but just allow us to find a place of sustainability, maybe even backing off from the absolute edge, 10%. Take one more nice deep breath wherever you're at. Then we'll float the leg back to center, release the foot from the strap, extend both legs long on your mat, and then you can float your arms up and overhead past your ears. Find a nice, gentle, long body stretch. Notice where you can soften. Then on your exhale, bring your hands back down towards your hips. We'll step the feet on the mat, bending into the knees. And then we're going to do that on the other side. We have two sides. So now we can take the strap, wrap the left leg into the strap, allow the strap to press against the ball of your foot or your foot against the strap, and then just gently soften your grip a little bit so you don't have to hold on. So even we can think about softening the grip in our hands, our shoulders, our jaws. And then you can either decide to keep the right foot on the mat or extend the right leg long. Take a moment to soften here. Tuning into your breath. Noticing where you can relax your effort, even softening your grip on the strap. We'll take one more nice deep breath, allow it to cascade down the back of your leg, and then you can start to open your left leg out to the left, any amount. You could find a prop to help bolster it up, so maybe that bolster or a block next to your hip can sort of help your leg not go so far. Trying to figure out how the block might work for that. Sometimes also if you had a wall space or a couch nearby, you could allow your leg to sort of rest on that support. Allow your jaw to soften. Relax your shoulders. And we'll take one more nice deep breath here. When you're ready, you can float your leg back up to center. We'll transfer the strap into the right hand now and allow your leg to gently cross the midline. Finding the outer edge of your left hip. Take a moment to breathe into those sensations. Almost allowing your breath and the stretch to become like an internal massage. We'll take one more nice deep breath on this side. And then you can bring the leg back to center, release your foot from the strap. Allow yourself to find a nice long body stretch, reaching your arms past your ears. Go ahead and start to rotate your wrists and your ankles. And then when you're ready, you can hug your knees in towards your chest and take a moment to either rock and roll up and down the length of your spine. Or if that doesn't feel good, you can always roll onto one side and press yourself up into a seat. When you're ready, we're gonna find either a downward dog or you can just come to stand in a forward fold. So I'm gonna move some of these props out of the way. I don't need my bolster or my strap. And then you can use blocks if you like, or the chair to help you find a downward facing dog. So you might bring your hands onto blocks and then tuck your toes under, lift your knees, or you could step 1 foot forward and then tuck the back toes, step the other foot forward, and instead of down dog, just skip all the way into a forward fold. And I was mentioning before class the idea that I went to a vinyasa class recently, and sometimes if you just know where they're going, you could kind of play around with, you know, it's your own practice. So skipping things that don't feel accessible for you is okay too. So bring your hands either onto blocks or the seat of a chair or onto shins, and we'll press into that support and lift the spine up halfway. Exhale to forward fold. Inhale for halfway lift. Exhale to forward fold. And one more time. Inhale, we call this Ardha Uttanasana, halfway lift. Exhale, Uttanasana. Now, really charge up the strength in your legs and allow your torso to float as you swim your arms up towards the sky. Reach it up tall, and then exhale, draw your hands into your heart center. And we call this actually a half sun salutation. So we're gonna keep doing these, and as I was mentioning, if you ever find yourself wanting to go to a challenging class that you find too fast of a pace, you could always modify and do half of what they're doing. So half sun salutation. could create a bit of heat in the body. So we'll inhale, sweep the arms up towards the sky, look up, exhale, swim the hands forward, coming to swan dive the heart forward. Inhale for halfway lift, press into any support, your legs, blocks, chair. Exhale to forward fold. And then inhale, sweep the arms back up towards the sky. Exhale, draw the hands into the heart. Take a moment to pause. We call this mountain pose, Tadasana. Take a moment to pause and check in with your heart center. Feel your heart lift. Notice that seed of intention. And then you're welcome to stay in Tadasana, kind of a standing meditation, maybe with your eyes closed. Or if you want to build some more heat, you can take those half sun salutations at your own pace. So we'll inhale, sweep the arms up. We call this Urdhva Hastasana, upward salute. Exhale, swan dive it forward. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. Now you can keep going like that, or you might add a lunge. So I'm going to step the left foot forward, step the right foot back, and I'm using the blocks on either side to frame my foot. And you could kind of just sink into your lunge, maybe finding a little play forward and back. And then when you're ready, you could step that foot up. Maybe it takes a few little steps to find your forward fold. Inhale, press into halfway lift. Exhale to forward fold. And then let's try that lunge on the other side. So I'm going to frame my right foot, step the left foot back so that your heel is lifted. And you could find just strong stability in your pose, or you could find a little bit of play, rocking the hips a little bit forward and back. When you're ready, you can start to just step that foot forward. Both feet can meet. Inhale for halfway lift. Exhale to forward fold, and then root to rise. So root down through your legs, strong legs, buoy you up towards the sky. Lift the heart, lift the gaze. Exhale, draw the hands to the heart. And you can kind of see how maybe as you pause in your Tadasana mountain pose, you might notice how you've built a little bit of heat. Maybe you bring your hands to rest on your heart. Feel the beating of your heart. Take one more nice deep breath here. And then you can release your hands to your sides. We're going to go through a little bit of more flow with a Warrior 2 sequence. So for Warrior 2, I'm going to bring my left foot back, step the right foot forward, and find a little bit of a lunge. So you're bending into that right knee, tracking it towards the toes, and then your back foot is like parallel to the back of your mat. You can bring your hands to your hips, bring your torso to face the side of the mat, and then maybe you want to gently float your fingertips forward and back. We call this Virabhadrasana 1, Virabhadrasana 2, Warrior 2. So you can really make it less challenging by kind of softening the bend in your knee, or you can always make it a little more challenging, bending deeper into your lunge, keeping your shoulders soft, away from the ears. Now we're we're going to introduce a little flow. So you can land your back hand on your back thigh, flip your front palm, and then start to bring that palm up towards the sky. We call this peaceful warrior. On the next exhale, we'll bring our hands back into warrior two, floating your back hand back, front hand forward, and then sweep your front hand up so that you have almost like a serving platter right at your chest. And you can even bring your back hand to your hip and start to hinge forward so that maybe your front forearm rests on your front thigh. Now you could keep your hand on your hip, or maybe you start to bring that hand up towards the sky. You might even point the palm down towards the ground as you reach it long. And by the way, I should mention you could do all of this from a chair. Maybe I'll show the second side with the chair. On your next inhale breath, come on back to warrior two. And then we'll soften our hands onto our hips, and you can start to walk your feet together. Just come to stand. Maybe shake it off. And then just take a moment to pause into Tadasana, mountain pose. And I think I will show the chair version of this for the second side. I could have started with that, but I just had the idea. So I'm going to bring my chair into the mix and show you how you could do the second side on a chair if you wanted to. So if I was going to do warrior two on a chair, I have my chair with a little blanket, and then what I can do is bring the chair kind of underneath my left hip and thigh, and then I'm stepping my left foot forward, and I have my right foot back. And this is basically how the legs look in warrior two. Then you can kind of turn your torso to the side. Maybe you sweep your arms forward and back, peering over your left hand. You could start to root, even on the chair. You can find strength rooting your feet into the earth, finding the strength in your legs. And then we'll find peaceful warrior by landing your back hand on your back thigh, flipping the front palm, reaching that arm up towards the sky, maybe gazing up. Take another nice deep breath. And on your next exhale, float it back to warrior two. Keeping your gaze over your front fingertips, feel your connection to the past as you root into the present. Then we'll flip the front palm like you're serving a platter of food. You can bring your back hand to your hip and start to bring your forearm down to your front thigh. Maybe you sweep your back hand up towards the sky, or you might let it keep going, pointing the hand down, the palm down as your arm reaches across past your ear. We call this extended side angle. Take another nice deep breath, and then we'll float it back to warrior two, Virabhadrasana 2. And then you can bring your hands to your hips, kind of walk yourself back to center. You could either pause in your chair or standing, coming into mountain pose, Tadasana. Feeling your feet rooting down into the earth. From wherever you're at, let's come to a seat, and I'm going to stay in the chair, but you could also come to a seat on the earth. We're going to stretch the left leg out, cross the right ankle over the left thigh, and then you could start to walk the left foot back in. So this is a figure four. Sometimes people do this figure four standing as well, and you're standing on one foot, and that would be fine too. Or you could do this seated on the ground or laying down on your back. Really, we're feeling hopefully a nice stretch through the hip. This is kind of like a pigeon pose. And maybe if your foot feels accessible here, you could just give it a little rub. You might find a nice gentle foot massage or just find stillness. Breathing into that hip. When you're ready, we'll release this side. Bring both feet down to the mat or to the earth. And then we'll get ready for the other side. So you might extend your right leg, bring your left foot up. It could even be crossed at your ankle, or you might reach down, slide it up, and then bend that right knee. So you're finding a bit of a stretch for the hip. And as I mentioned, you can do this sitting on your mat, laying on your back, or even from standing. Finding a nice stretch for the side of the hip. Take one more nice deep breath on this side. Of course, you can always choose to stay longer. You can start to even deepen the stretch by kind of hinging forward from your hips, allowing your heart to melt towards your thigh. And then on your inhale, you can lift your torso up. I realize we didn't do that forward fold on the other side. So now we're going to come back down to the mat. I'm going to move my chair. And I could even use the chair to help me get down onto the ground. So you could come through downward dog or bring your hands to the seat of the chair. And then I'll walk my right foot back, lower that back knee, and then bring the left knee to meet it, and then lower down onto my seat. So once you're on your seat, we can play around with Navasana, boat pose. So you might bring your hands behind your thighs, lift your heart, gently begin to lean it back. You could even release your hands and lean back, or you could scoop behind your thighs and maybe you lift one leg or both legs. We're getting a bit of core strengthening here. You could even support yourself with your hands behind you. So find what would work for you. Just play around with that, kind of buoying yourself as a boat. And then when you're ready, we'll kind of shift the hips forward, sweep the hands forward, and then come onto our back. Hug your knees in, and you could open your knees out to the sides. And maybe you walk your hands up onto your calves, behind your thighs, or all the way up to your feet for happy baby pose. If your hands are on your ankles, you might just give them a little squeeze, and then you can kind of gently pull down as you rotate your ankles, and that might feel like a nice massage for the ankles. When you're ready, we'll release the happy baby and then allow your arms to come out into a T. And then we're going to press your feet down, shift your hips to the right, allow the knees to stack over to the left. Coming into a twist. Feels so good. You might turn your gaze over to your right hand. And we'll we'll take a nice deep breath. Allow yourself to settle in to this twist. And then when you feel ready, we're going to roll all the way onto our left side. So as you roll onto your left side, you can kind of pivot your left arm. Maybe that'll work so that you can prop your head or your hand. And then with our knees out in front, we're going to do a little bit more strengthening for the glutes with our clamshells. So we're going to glue the heels together. Inhale, lift the right knee. Not with your hand, just lift it with the strength actually of your glute. Exhale, gently lower it. And then you can take a few rounds. You might stabilize yourself by bringing your right hand out in front. And send your breath into your glutes. And feel the gratitude overflowing from your heart center. Really strong, healthy glutes take us so many places. And then they'll get a nice treat in a moment, nice stretch. Take another nice deep breath, and of course you can do as many or as few of the clamshells as you'd like, using your own discretion, your svadhyaya, self-knowledge. So when you're ready, you can pause that action, and then we'll slide the knees back. Now they're in a straight line with the body. You can lift the top knee, bring it down either to a block or a blanket or the mat. So if it feels like it would be going too far, you could take like a blanket or a block and kind of make a little platform for your shin. And this is the one we were talking about before class, cat chasing its tail. You might bring your right hand to your right shoulder and just allow that shoulder to sort of sink back down towards the ground. And then we have the option of a quad stretch. So you might unfurl that right hand, reach it down and back, and maybe it can catch your bottom foot. So you might be feeling a nice twist, maybe a stretch for your glute, and then possibly a stretch for your quad. There's a lot going on here. Allow yourself to soften wherever feels right. And remember that there's no finish line. So you can stop anywhere along the way. If the quad stretch is not where it's at, you can always veto certain aspects. Take one more nice deep breath here. And we'll maybe give one of your toes a little rub. Release the foot from the bind. Roll back onto your back. And just take a moment to recalibrate. Maybe press into your heels, lengthen your spine. And just soften for a moment in your constructive rest pose. And then we're going to get ready for the other side. So I'm going to do my little move around so I can face you still. You could press into your feet, lift your hips, slide your hips a little to the left, allow your knees to stack to the right, and open your chest into a twist, turning your gaze over towards your left hand. Allow yourself to soften into your twist. Welcome to stay in this twist, or if you'd like, you can roll all the way onto your right side. You could either prop up your head with your hand, or I'm realizing I have this nice block here, so you could also use a block or a pillow. And then we're going to do our clamshells, so you can glue the heels together. Inhale to lift the knee, exhale to lower it. Take a few rounds, breathing into your glorious glutes. These are some of the exercises that your physical therapist can sometimes recommend for the knee, since I'm thinking that strengthening our glutes helps support our delicate knees. So as you breathe into your glutes, can you offer them so much gratitude? Take one more nice deep breath, or as many or as few as you'd like. And then when you're ready, you can slide the knees back so they're in a straight line with the body. Your feet are kicked back. And then we'll lift the top knee, that's my left knee, and then allow the knee to either land on the ground or a pillow. Hopefully you're feeling a nice stretch for the glutes after that hard work with those clamshells. And then we might kind of turn this into a twist. You can bring your left hand to your left shoulder and allow your shoulder to sink back. Maybe it would feel good to reach down with that left hand and grab for your right foot. Take a nice deep breath, breathing into any areas of sensation. Exploring your own inner knowing, your svadhyaya self-study. Take one more nice deep breath here. And when you're ready, you can release. Maybe you bring your finger to one of your toes and gives it a little squeeze. Releasing your foot. And we'll come back onto the back body now. Press into your feet and just realign your spine. So you're going to find yourself on your mat, maybe lengthen through your spine. And then from here, if you have any kind of tennis ball that you'd like to use or a block, we're going to do a little bit of self-massage. So I have all this cat hair around. So for the neck, I really love a little bit of a neck massage with the block. So you can kind of lift your head, tuck your chin towards your chest, and then place a block right underneath your head so that the edge of the block is kind of resting right there at the base of your skull. And then you could gently rock your head a little bit side to side. Now, as I always try to encourage you to do, this is not the pose for you today or the movement that you'd like to make. There's so many other options that you can help yourself to any other poses that are your favorite. So if you're using the block to massage your neck, you're kind of just shaking your head gently side to side, slowly moving the nose from left to right. And as you kind of help yourself say no, you might think about setting boundaries gracefully. How do we let ourselves practice saying no? Take one more nice deep breath here. I'm going to encourage you to find a restorative shape for either part or all of your shavasana. So you can lift your head, release the block, allow your head to rest back down onto the ground. And then I'm going to roll onto one side and press up into a seat. So this restorative shape, it could require a few props if you have it, but I'll kind of show you how I'm going to set it up. And then you can think about what sort of things you have and make this possible for yourself. Or you can come to lie on your back. So for a little bit of restorative yoga is actually a whole entire class onto itself where you're staying in very restful shapes. So what I like to do is take the blocks and make a little stair step with them, so you can have it kind of on a medium setting and a low setting. And then I'll take a bolster. You could take a flat one or pillows, maybe something from the couch would be kind of good, a firm pillow. And so I'm going to rest that pillow on the ramp, and then I'll bring my seat right to the edge of that bolster. Now, I always like to leave a little bit of choice time at the end of class. So if this pose isn't going to be where it's at for you today, you can always find any other kind of modification. With the blanket, I'm going to make a nice big roll. So I have my blanket unfolded, and then I'll make a nice big roll out of it. I'll bring the soles of my feet to touch, set the blanket on top of it, and then wrap the ends around so they're kind of cradling my knees. And then I have the blanket on top of my feet. And then you can allow yourself to lay back. I've heard this referred to as like a goddess recliner. We call this one Supta Baddha Konasana. And it's basically called a bound angle. So our legs are in a bound angle. And then when you're laying on your back, we call that Supta. So allow yourself to find a restful position. For the remainder of class, we'll practice resting in whatever kind of restorative shape feels right for you. Allow your shoulders to melt away from your ears. Soften your forehead and your jaw. Allow yourself this time to rest. God Yahya invites us not to shut the unpleasant parts of ourselves away, but to carry them with kindness and compassion, knowing that God lives there too. There is a Cherokee story in which the grandfather is explaining to his grandson that two animals live inside his heart, a wolf and a lamb. When the grandson asks, "What is he to do?" the grandfather replies, "Feed the lamb." We can choose to grow ourselves into someone more compassionate and kind to both ourselves and to others. We must be willing to look at the selfishness and greed and anger that lies in us, but feed the greatness. The Buddhists remind us to have a beginner's mind, to know that we don't know. It is the stance of humility that opens the door to learning and revelation. Start to deepen your breath, and you're welcome to stay in this position or your final resting pose a little longer. As you deepen your breath, can you return to your heart center? To observe that beautiful glowing intention that you set at your heart center. Allow your awareness to trace the rays of light beyond your physical form. Allow yourself to wander out with the stars. You might cultivate a sense of awe and wonder. What an amazing mystery it is to be alive. To gaze down this one amazing body that you get to have. Allow yourself to experience joy, awe, wonder. Allow your awareness to float back down into your body. And as you inhabit this body, allow yourself to feel the warmth of gratitude. The vibration of all of the cells of your body. And how alive you are. If you feel ready to reawaken your body, you can start to bring some gentle movements into the fingers, into the toes, gently rotating the wrists and the ankles. You can find a long body stretch, reaching your arms past your ears. If you're still laying on top of this bolster situation, you might gently roll onto one side, find a fetal position there. And then slowly, maybe even with your eyes still closed, you can gently begin to press yourself up into a seat. You might invite your hands to meet at your heart center, and then allow your head to gently bow towards the wisdom of your loving heart. It's such an honor and privilege to guide you through your practice. Thank you so much for joining us, and let me know if you have any thoughts or questions about class. And thanks to our musician as well.